Okay.
Good. Well, welcome to the last meeting of 2021 for the West Perth Council. Pleased to have everybody here. So we'll call this meeting to order and we will open with a moment of silent reflection. Okay, thank you. All right, first item up is confirmation of the agenda as it was sent out before the weekend. So do we have a mover and seconder to confirm the agenda? Moved by Councillor Tam and seconded by Councillor Matheson. Any questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with the agenda tonight? And I know we have one. Dean has declared one, so noted. And it is, Dean, help me out here, 9.12 and 14.2, right?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Yep. Okay, thank you. All right, the consent agenda is there. There's 5 items on the consent agenda. Is there anything there that anybody would like pulled or dealt with separately, or any action taken separate to accepting it? Okay, I don't see anybody's hands going up. So a motion would be in order that we accept the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Harold. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? That is carried. Very good. Okay, so we do have a public meeting tonight. So at this stage of the game, I would like a motion that West Perth Council adjourn at 7:04 for the purpose of a public meeting pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act. We have a mover and seconder for that, Councillor Vink and Councillor Murray. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And I gotta grab my sheet here. Okay, so we'll call this public meeting to order at 7:05. And it's being held in accordance with section 34 of the Planning Act. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest by any member of council? Okay, don't see any. At this stage or this point of the meeting, I'll ask Clerk Hobson for the purpose of the public meeting. Dan?
Good evening, Council. The purpose of this public meeting for the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth is to review the application for a proposed amendment to Bylaw 100-1998, the zoning bylaw of the Municipality of West Perth, and to allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments about the application. Council will not make a decision on the application at this public meeting. The information received at this public meeting will help Council make a decision on the amending zoning bylaw being presented later this evening during the regular Council meeting. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decision on the application, they are to provide their name and mailing address and email to the clerk this evening via email at clerk@westperth.com. A person or public body may appeal a decision if they have made an oral submission at this public meeting or a written submission to Council prior to the passing of the amending bylaw. Notice was given by mail to all landowners within 120 meters of the lands affected by the proposed amending bylaw and to those agencies as prescribed by regulation. A sign advertising tonight's meeting was also posted on the property on November 25th, 2021. Any correspondence received following the posting of the notices will be presented by the planner, Susanna Reed.
Okay, thank you, Dan. This is a public meeting for a zoning bylaw amendment. The application was initiated by Howard and Val Fanson and affects the property described as Lot 28, Concession 7 of the Fullerton Ward, Municipality of West Perth. 911 number is 6179, line 26. I will now call upon Susanna Reed, planner for the Municipality of West Perth, to review the application. Susanna?
Thank you very much, Mayor McKenzie. So this is a zoning bylaw amendment that is I'll just show you a few slides. It is, this is the location of the property. It's lot 28, concession 7 in the Fullerton Ward. And the application is to amend. Oh, it's not going to advance. Oh, here we go. So the application is a condition of a surplus farm resident severance. And the proposal is to amend both the severed parcel, which is outlined in yellow, and the retained land, which is outlined in red. So the severed parcel is to be rezoned to an A-1 zone, which recognizes a house and accessory uses. And the retained parcel is to be rezoned A-3, which is permits the construction of any further residence on the farm parcel. So just a couple of photos of the property. This is the barn and the silo are proposed to be removed as a condition of consent. The property is designated agricultural in the official plan, and it conforms with the official plan, and the planning department is recommending that the application be approved. I can certainly answer any questions if council has any.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. At this stage of the game, I'll ask if there is anybody wishing to speak to this application, and I'm not aware that anybody has indicated that they wish to comment one way or the other, but I see that the Fansons are on, so we'll possibly give them an opportunity if they wish later on. So is there anybody, and I'm looking here and I don't see anybody, but is there anybody that wishes to speak in support of the application other than the applicant? Anybody in opposition to this application? Okay, does the applicant or their agent wish to say anything at this time? Don't see anybody coming forward. Any questions from members of council? General questions or questions in particular? Okay, don't see anything. So I would like to thank those in attendance for their comments. Should council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment, notice of passing will be provided as prescribed by the Planning Act, and a 20-day appeal period to the Ontario Land Tribunal is in effect. At this stage of the game, then, a resolution would be in order that the Council of Municipality of West Perth now closes this public meeting at 7:10 and reconvenes to the regular council meeting. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Murray and Councillor Matheson, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. All right, so we're back on to our other agenda. And the first item is under item number 6 under reports. And it's a planning from the planning department, and Susanna is going to talk about that. And it's basically a draft housekeeping zoning amendment to incorporate zoning provisions into the County of Perth Official Plan Amendment OPA 189. So Susanna, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you very much, Mayor McKenzie. This is a draft housekeeping amendment that's brought to council tonight for discussion purposes. And we're seeking direction with a recommendation that the amendment as drafted proceed to a public meeting. And I'll just offer a few comments in order to frame the discussion. And of course, you have the information in your package as well. So this is with regards to OPA 189, which had amended the surplus farm residence policies in the Perth County official plan. So consultation for that project began in July of 2020, and it was approved by County Council and is in full force and effect as of August this year. So a surplus farm dwelling, of course, is surplus to a farm operation in that a farm operation has 2 or more houses and one is required to support the operation. The substantial policy changes for as introduced by OPA 189 was from the perspective of the use, which that the official plan now allows accessory to be evaluated more fully for the residential use and consider the unique characteristics of each property, the rural nature and landscape features of each property, and the existing building stock and the proximity of the buildings to the dwelling. Now that OPA 189 to the county official plan is in full force in effect, the planning department has prepared a draft housekeeping amendment for the West Perth implementing zoning bylaw. And this will give legs to the uses to the OPA 189 and regulate the uses that are permitted on the property. So the planning department has prepared a draft amendment for discussion tonight. In order to inform this amendment, the planning department has had discussions with the West Perth Building Department, as well as OMAFRA staff and Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing staff. So just to review then the discussions and how this has been informed. First of all, as an accessory use, keeping of non-commercial livestock is proposed to be permitted as a right in the zoning. And non-commercial livestock are defined as being accessory to a residential use. This means that the primary use on the property is the residence, and the livestock can be housed so long as they are incidental and naturally subordinate to the residential use. By definition, this means that this cannot be a livestock operation, and there can be no commercial values to the animals being kept. So this would allow keeping animals for food production for the people who are living on the property only, or for keeping horses for transportation purposes. In conversation with the building department, we know that they've identified a discussion point with regards to the bylaw being enforceable, and Bob might want to offer additional comments tonight. In response to that discussion point, we've added a maximum of 2 nutrient units to the definition of non-commercial livestock. So that could be the most animals that could be on a surplus farm dwelling as proposed to be zoned by this zoning bylaw amendment. We've also had conversations with OMAFRA to let them know that we're discussing this with council. And the critical discussion point from the perspective of the Nutrient Management Act is to ensure that the zoning bylaw is not regulating the size of a livestock operation. As a result, this is very, very clearly not a livestock operation. And we're not concerned that the provision conflicts with provincial legislation. Then in addition, the draft bylaw also includes a home industry as a permitted accessory use, which includes occupations related to trades or an art studio, and is restricted to a maximum of 2 employees. And then finally, it includes 1 secondary dwelling as a permitted accessory use. And the requirements for secondary dwelling are already in the West Perth zoning bylaw, so it directs that zone back to those requirements. So those are comments, and I look forward to any discussion with regards to this draft bylaw. And again, we're seeking direction from council tonight to proceed with circulating the zoning bylaw and hosting a public meeting for this amendment to be included in the West Perth zoning bylaw.
Walter, you're not on.
I know, I saw that.
I don't.
Thank you, Susanna. So are there any questions or comments with regards to this housekeeping thing? Anna Marie, go ahead. Councillor Murray.
I don't quite understand the secondary dwelling units. Does that mean that we're allowed a secondary dwelling unit within the house, or is another dwelling unit able to be built on the lot?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So again, there are provisions now in the general provisions of the West Perth zoning bylaw that permit secondary dwelling units. So the way that the bylaw is drafted, you'll note in the housekeeping amendment that's in your package tonight, is that it says a secondary dwelling unit. And the secondary dwelling units in section 526.1 of the West Perth zoning bylaw permit either an accessory unit within the existing house, or a separate building that has a maximum square meters, maximum of 25 square meters, which is 269 square feet. So that's the provision that's in the zoning bylaw now. And this draft amendment proposes to refer to that section of the bylaw.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Nicholas, go ahead.
If I'm making an application for surplus farmhouse severance, are keeping of non-commercial livestock, home industry uses, secondary dwelling units, are these planning reasons that I would be using to justify the half acre, acre and a half, or 2 acres around this as surplus farmhouse severance, or are these not planning justifications that they are just able to be done on the property, or used as a justification to enlarge the property for these uses?
No, that's a great question. So what the policies in the official plan speak to a minimum amount of land required only to support the residents. And then as amended by OPA 189 also permits now accessory uses. So the answer to the question is the accessory uses would not increase the size of the property. However, like we saw in the McIntosh severance at the December 6th council meetings, if there were landscape features like that woodlot, that would be reason to incorporate those features in the severed lot, but not to increase the size of the property for the purposes of keeping livestock or a home industry. It's not the uses, except, but perhaps another caveat, that if there was an existing building that was proposed to be used for an accessory purpose, then it could be entertained. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? I go back to the days of a former Logan councillor, and he always was on the case that should be able to be out in the country and have a 4-H calf, and you should be able to keep it on your property, you know. So here we are. That's basically kind of what it is. Or if you, if you anybody that has daughters would know that almost a necessity to have a horse, and it allows for something like that. So that's kind of where we're at here, I guess. Anybody else? Okay, if there's no further questions, I do have a recommendation here. And it is fairly lengthy. There are some conditions on here. And I guess it's your pleasure whether I read. We've got 10 conditions associated with that. 3 of them are, I believe 3 are standard county conditions, and the balance are no, 2 are county conditions, and the remaining 8 are actually.
Walter, are you reading
West.
the right one?
I think so. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just looking here. We're at.
The recommendation, would you like me to offer the?
Well, no, I've got it here.
Okay.
I'm going to grab my other sheet. I have one agenda here that's not complete. It's not full, and I changed the agenda. Yeah.
Recommendation at this point is that council direct staff to circulate a notice of public meeting for the housekeeping amendment.
Yep.
As presented.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. I have the recommendation here. Yes. That the municipality of West Perth accepts the draft housekeeping zoning amendment to incorporate zoning provisions for the County of Perth Official Plan Amendment 189 surplus farm dwelling severance, and that the council directs staff to circulate notice of a public meeting for housekeeping zoning amendment to amend the zoning provisions related to the surplus farm severances in the West Perth zoning bylaw. Do we have a mover and seconder, Councillor Vink? Do we have a seconder for that, Councillor Murray? Okay, any further discussion on that? As long as the mayor gets the right sheet here, we'll be all set. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, now, the next one is an application for consent to sever by Milady Acres, and that's B4321. And Susanna, I'll let you talk about that one as well.
Thank you very much. This is a surplus farm severance application, and for consent applications, West Perth Council is a commenting agency. So this application is brought to West Perth Council for your comments in advance of it being forwarded to the County Land Division Committee or the Manager of Planning if it's not disputed. So the application is submitted by Milady Acres, who own 2 farms. The farm that is being discussed tonight is the former property of Barbara Froats, and Barbara Froats is proposing to purchase the surplus farm severance, provided it is approved at the Land Division Committee. So I just have a few slides. This is the location of the property. It's lot 23 and part lot 22, concession 10 in the Hibbert ward. And so this is the severance application, and the discussion with regards to the configuration of this lot is actually follows Councillor Vink's question with regards to, how is the size of the property informed. This isn't a very good slide, but the drawing of the severed parcel is also in your package. And you can see that there is a barn on this property, and the family that is proposing to stay at the surplus farm lot have a number of accessory uses which are detailed in the report. So because of the accessory uses that are proposed in the barn, the planning department is supportive of the configuration of the lot as proposed. And this is a picture of the house and the barn from standing at the road. And there are a number of other photos in your package. Planning department then is recommending that the application be approved with the conditions that are listed. And if you have any specific questions with regards to the planning report, I'm certainly available to respond to those.
Okay, any questions for Susanna with regards to this application for severance? Deputy Mayor Wright?
So Susanna, with what we just passed the last time, hypothetically, this person could tear that barn down and build one more completely separate house at the back of his property with a separate septic system and a separate well, or do they have to use the same one?
That's a good question. So I just first of all, to step back, you haven't yet approved the housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment. What council received it for discussion purposes tonight, and now you've provided direction for that to be circulated. So there is still opportunity for discussion regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment tonight. I simply wanted to bring it to you for your discussion in advance and your direction before circulating it. With regards to that existing barn, or first of all, let's just touch base on the question with regards to the second dwelling. The second dwelling could be built independent of whether or not the barn is taken down. The barn certainly didn't need to come down in order for the house to be built. And with regards to whether or not the septic system would be tied in, I don't think I know the answer to that question, but I could get back to you with regards to that question.
That's maybe a Bob McLean question. I'm not sure whether Bob would know that or not. Whether Bob's can comment on that.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse, because now if you put a trailer on your farm, you have to use, I believe, the same, or a shed, you live in a shed, you have to use the same septic system that's there. Larry White's, I'm talking about that type of thing.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bob?
Bob, you have a...
Through you, your worship, a second unit may be developed independent of the first residential unit on the property. Susanna can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it would have to come under a zoning amendment to allow the secondary unit where it is attached to the principal unit or part of that principal unit. The septic, as far as the septic systems goes, they have to share the same laneway. They could share the same well, but the septic system would have to be independent of each other.
Okay. Yeah, does that answer the question? The amendment is proposed, so it's not yet in place. So we're sort of straddling two zoning frameworks.
All right, thanks. Anybody else with a question on this one? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so I'll try and get the right resolution this time. So the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth received a report entitled Consent Application B43 by Barbara Froats on behalf of Milady Acres affecting lands described as Lot 23, West Part, Lot 22, Concession 10 of the Hibbert Ward, Municipality of West Perth, 7300, line 21 for information, and that council recommends that the County of Perth Land Division Committee or its designate approve consent application B4321 described as Lot 23 and West Part of 22, Concession 10, Hibbert Ward of Municipality of West Perth, 7300, line 21, subject to the following conditions. And there are 10 conditions. That's what I wanted to put on the other one. Do you wish me to read all those 10 conditions, or you've had it for the weekend? You're okay with that? We don't need to read it. Okay. Then I need a mover and seconder for that recommendation. So moved by Councillor Vink and seconded by Councillor Bell. Thank you. Any further discussion on this at this time? All right. All those in favor of that motion? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Very good. And thank you, Suzanne, for helping us out. Very good. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on then. Next item up is the November permit summary from Bob McLean. So Bob, take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just waiting for a page to come up here. So the building permit summary for the month of November, just over $2.79 million in construction value, 17 permits and 8 zoning certificates. The permits are listed. As you can see, we're still fairly brisk with residential permits. Some of the agricultural stuff is starting to wind together, but there's still quite a good volume of stuff being priced for the spring.
Okay, any questions for Bob on any of that information? Not seeing anybody put their hand up. So recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth accepts the November building permit report as information. We have a mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Harold and a seconder, Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next up then is the Recreation and Facilities, and Darcy, I believe there's Darcy. You can take the floor and carry away.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. My first one is my activity report. You guys have it in front of you. The first highlight I would do is on the roofing siding project. Unfortunately, we have started really moving forward lately, which has been good because we did fight it a fair bit when it was open there and we had 16-degree weather in December. But that did affect the ice, but we worked hard to do the maintenance and keep it up. Unfortunately, we have found some areas that were missing substrate, and some other old building issues. We're working with GB Architect, and as I stated, I don't think that the contingency is going to cover all the change orders that we need to do. So I just wanted to give council a heads up on that. We're hoping to finalize a couple change orders in the next couple days, and I'll have more of a picture on it, but I do think it will go a little bit over the contingency amount. On others, the rentals are picking back up, but unfortunately, actually over the last even few days, we've had a lot of cancellations due to the pandemic and where we're at now, and with going back down to 50% capacities, and just some people with their worried about their safety. We did have a few cancellations just over the last few days as far as Christmas and family events, but we're working through those, and our programs are again picking up. We're very excited about the uptake on those. We'll be starting a cooking with class again in January, and we're excited to do that. So I will gladly take any questions.
Okay, any questions for Darcy on the Recreation and Community Center? So what 50% capacity? Oh, sorry, Doug, do you have a question?
Yeah, we have some community-based play sessions and that this week and next week. How are they? Like, are they full? Like, are people coming?
Which ones are you talking, like public skating or?
No, like we have our kind of a camp there, don't we?
Oh, the day camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the day camp. We were able to run it 4 days this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today we had 8 or 9 kids, I believe, and that's pretty much the average. So we're doing one instructor with eight or 9 kids, and that seems to be working. They were in full performance today on the ice and everything, and they seem to really enjoy it. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, the second week didn't have the uptake, so we had to cancel the next week after.
So what are the 50% capacity numbers, Darcy?
Off the top of my head, I think the community hall is around 440 regularly, so it's down to about 220. I think the activity room goes down to 44. I think Dublin Hall's around 75. The ice surface with 50% capacity, you'll never touch it with any event that we have.
Yeah.
The capacity is really, but the stands, I believe, is right around the 400 and something mark, so it's down to 200 and something. We're actually just working on sending out an email tonight to the user groups to inform them, because we had to go back to our building code and go back to where we started this. But yeah, that's roughly what it is.
And that's as of Monday, and who knows by the end of the week what it'll be. Hard to say. It keeps changing almost day to day, doesn't it? Eh?
Yeah, we're just trying to keep up.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no questions for Darcy's report, have a recommendation here that the Municipality of West Perth accepts the activity report as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Don't everybody come at once. Councillor Matheson, thank you, and Councillor Murray. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Okay. And then the next item then is the Recreation Master Plan update. So,
Yes.
Darcy?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is again the yearly update to the Recreation Master Plan, and again, am pretty excited to say that we are moving forward with more recommendations, and we still have some ongoing. I think the big one that I would mention is that with the Parks Master Plan that we pre-approved in the first budget meeting, that will cross off a lot of recommendations, as you've probably seen through the perusal. So that's exciting times, and we're excited to go through with that. But I'll gladly take any questions.
Okay, there was a lot of information there, but any questions on the updated master plan? Don't see anybody's hand going up. So the recommendation here is that the Municipality of West Perth accepts the recommendation or the Recreation Master Plan update as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Councillor Bell. Councillor Tam's had his hand up a couple times, and now he's coming. Okay, good. Seconded by Councillor Tam. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. Okay, good, Darcy. The next item then is the treasurer's report here, and she has a general fees and charges bylaw. So Wendy, I'll let you take it away.
Well, thank you, Mayor McKenzie. And so before you guys have the general fees and charges bylaw report, and typically you guys see this come forward in March, so we're moving it a little earlier so it goes in the cycle of the budget. So the effective rates would be January 1st. Not too much has changed in the fee bylaw. Sewer and water, there was an increase. So water was 2.5% and wastewater was 3.5% were the highlights. So I'll gladly take any questions if there is any.
Anybody have any questions? None? The usual question that we get, Wendy, is how do we compare to other areas?
Well, we didn't have time this year to look at that, but I think we're going to take a look at our fees in 2022, maybe in the summer, and do a comparison and do a little more review of them.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, no further questions. All right, the recommendation is that the Municipality of West Perth accepts the general fees and charges bylaw report as information. Mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Murray and Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Thank you. And then the consolidated statements as of November the 30th. Anything there you want to highlight, Wendy?
Just that we continue to be in a favorable position. I think as we approach the end of the year, we'll probably have some adjusting entries probably on the next report.
Okay, thank you. Was there any questions that anybody had in those consolidated statements? Okay, motion is then that Municipality of West Perth accepts the West Perth consolidated statements as of November the 30th, 2021 report as information. Moved by Anne Marie, thank you, and Councillor Matheson. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. All right, moving on, we're down to the clerk's report, and the first item is with regards to the declaration of a vacant seat. So Dan, take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before council today is a housekeeping item following the resignation of former Councillor Jeff Marshall. We need to declare the seat vacant at this meeting, and then following that, administration is looking for direction on how council wishes to proceed. If we want to go the appointment route, we would certainly look at bringing back a procedure following any input of council today on the draft procedure administration is prepared for council, or we could go a by-election route. Administration is not recommending that at this time for multiple reasons, the timeline being the main one. In addition, Deputy Mayor Eit had volunteered to fill former Councillor Marshall's positions on all his committees. We've prepared a bylaw at this meeting to amend the committee appointment bylaw. If anyone else on council wishes to take one of those committee chairs, I think Deputy Mayor would be happy to turn that over. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, questions for Dan. Councillor Matheson.
Is there like a timeline as next year being the election year, that the latest possible time to put someone in place that they would say it's not worth filling that seat, vacant seat?
Yeah, we're not there. I think it's 3. We're not there. I'd have to look at the acta code. I can't remember exactly what it is.
We're quite a ways away from it, aren't we, Dan? Like, even if we dragged our feet, which we can't, we would still have to put somebody in place, wouldn't we?
Yeah, the election would be October 24th. I'm just quickly scrolling my report if I was smart enough to put it in there. But I think it's like 60 days out of the election, something like that.
So we'll maybe do the last point first here. Oh, sorry, Councillor Bell's got a question.
No, not a question, just a statement. I can help Deputy Mayor out if he wants me to. I find myself with a little bit of time on my hands these days. So
that's where I was going. I said we would start with the last item first, and I was going to open it up. Is there anybody else that would like to take over one of Jeff's committees? And just for information, he had was it 2 committees or 3? 2, I believe, wasn't it? 3. So it's minor sports was the one appointment. the energy and environment, we're not going to replace that one. We're going to, the other one was the heritage and the trails, right? So anybody interested in one of those postings? Sherry has indicated, do you have preference which one you do?
I don't know, what does Deputy Mayor Ite want to?
The only reason I stepped in is because there was a heritage meeting right away, and we didn't even have a council meeting, so I volunteered.
Right.
I can do without any of them if somebody
When's
would
minor,
wish.
when are minor sports meetings, do you know? Does anybody know?
Steve Harold might know that because he was on the rep. No, he was rep before. I believe they're only quarterly. Heritage Committee is only got, Heritage Committee would only have 3 meetings because we just set the schedule, Jeff. January.
I think there were 4.
June.
I think there were
Yeah, but
4
I
in the
think-
year.
I
Yeah.
think one would be after the next election.
Yeah,
One
right,
was next
right.
November, December. So
Well, I still have kids in the minor sports system, so I suppose would be the most likely one that I would have any knowledge on, because I still have kids active in the minor sports.
And if I may, Mayor McKenzie, while council's considering that, I just want to mention it's environmental services that we currently have 6 members on. We initially planned that committee for 5, so we were planning to not fill that vacancy. It just makes managing quorum better. So that would be minor sports, environment, forestry, and trails, and heritage committee are the 3. Councillor Ite has said heritage committee. Our Deputy Mayor Ite has said heritage, you got minor sports, and I think you're just for environment, forestry, and trails.
Any volunteers for that one? Or Doug wants to do that one? Okay.
I'll do environmental, the trails one. I did it for the first 8 years or 9 years. And I can do heritage, but if someone else would like the heritage one, they're more, I can't speak for Dean, but Dean has his hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
Through you, your worship, I was going to make the suggestion, perhaps inquire with Councillor Rose upon his return. I think he's only on one committee so far, so you may want to ask him on his thoughts about taking the position on the energy and environment portfolio. Just a suggestion.
That's a good point. We don't have to fill this tonight, would we, Dan? We could wait until Murray's back. He'll be back at the next meeting and see if he's interested in one of the committees. And I know that comment did come up that I wasn't just too sure whether he had any committees or not. So let's leave the placing of people in there until our meeting in January, and we'll see if we can plunk some names in there. Okay, so I guess the other item is how we want to fill the vacancy. Dan and Nicholas, sorry, question?
Yeah, Walter. If we went down the appointment route, Dan, your procedure speaks a lot to an in-person meeting and the procedure around meeting in the council chambers and conducting a vote on voter cards. Do you think we could handle that over Zoom, some sort of modified procedure like that as well? Or would there be another route that we might go?
Yes, thank you, Councillor. It's definitely something that I'm glad you brought up. That is something we'd have to work back, and we would look to bring forward that procedure and spend some time figuring out how we're going to do that. What's before you tonight, I'd say, is kind of a best practice we were able to find from other municipalities that have been in a similar position. So we need to go kind of back to the drawing board, but we were hoping to get direction from council on which way we were going. Because if we were going to go a by-election, then there's no need at this time to go with this procedure. And likewise the other way, we'll bring that procedure back for a digital meeting as well, if that's the will of council.
Okay, what is council's wishes? And Dan hasn't verbally said, but it would be very expensive, or would be expensive to actually do a by-election, and whether that's an option that anybody was thinking of or not. Anna Marie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I would support the appointment route, and I would look forward to hearing from staff as to how that might work.
Okay, do we have kind of a consensus on that? Is everybody feel that that's the way we should maybe go in this case, is with an appointment as opposed to a by-election? I'm seeing some heads nod here. Dean?
My only, through you, your worship, my only concern would be if we get into an awkward situation where there's a deadlock. I seem to recall we had that situation occur before, so hopefully we don't have to go down that route
And
another time.
If we can vote with a ballot or a secret ballot of some type, I think that would avoid the I was almost going to say embarrassment, but the deadlock that we encountered the last time that this happened. So if everybody's happy, we'll let Dan come back with the option and go from there. Does that sound okay for the rest of council here? Dan, you looked like you were going to say something.
Sorry, I was just holding in a cough.
Okay, all right. No, that's fine. Okay. I just the new iPad, Dan, doesn't stay on for a long period of time, and I keep losing it. So the recommendation that we have here is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth declares the office of a member of council for the Mitchell Ward vacant, and that council directs the clerk to prepare a council vacancy appointment procedure to fill the vacancy via appointment. And you would be back, I assume, the first meeting in January with that procedure, what we want to do?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
okay. That is the motion. Do we have a mover and seconder for that motion? Deputy Mayor Ait and Councillor Bell. Any further discussion or questions with regards to that procedure? Okay. All those in favor of that resolution? That is carried. Thank you. Okay. Bylaw enforcement then is the next one, I guess, Dan.
Thank you, Your Worship. So before you again, Council, is three options at looking at bylaw enforcement for the Municipality of West Perth. As you'll recall, we recently released an RFP for contracted services for bylaw enforcement. We've included the total scores ranked from that process. And again, we've also included some of the information that we have to date. So I think as everyone's aware, we do have growing permits, and we've had growing bylaw complaints. And traditionally, right now, we utilize a building inspector who 0.25% of the time is doing bylaw enforcement. Moving forward, administration has three options before council. The first one is status quo, to continue as is with the building inspector with 0.75 and 0.25. Option two, which is the option that administration is recommending to council, would be to instruct administration to negotiate a contract with Tenant Security Group, which was the highest scoring vendor in the proposal options. And option three would be to give administration direction to look into bringing a bylaw enforcement in-house as administration is recommending option 2, I would just speak quickly that, tenant had a lot of community orientated approaches in their proposal, which is one of the reasons they scored so high. And I will note here that they weren't the cheapest, but because of their approach, they certainly scored the highest. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Questions for Dan on the bylaw enforcement? Deputy Mayor Wright?
Dan, who dictates the hours that are worked, not the number? So last year, the municipal employees got frustrated with cars parked all over the street all winter. If the bylaw enforcement officer in Exeter, he goes to work at 4 in the morning and tickets cars that are illegally parked, who would it be? Would it be you who says to, I got to think, tenant, we want you here random days so people don't know? Like, that's our main bylaw is parking. We still have tons of people parked on Napier Street that the snowplows, last year, the snowplows had to actually drive down Sylvia Street to get out to Highway 8, the county plows, because there was cars parked on both sides of the road. Who would dictate when they come and the hours worked? Not the 15, but 4 till 6. Obviously, they'll never work at night, but that'll be police bylaw then. Go ahead.
We would. Thank you for the question. And there would be some evening work, and in just some brief conversations with tenant already, they're open to that. And there would be, there'd be a learning curve certainly as to what hours of the time of the day we need to have enforcement, and particularly over as the seasons change. And I think, we would set our minimum standard and our service standard, and tenant is well aware that they need to be having variety, or else people would just figure the pattern out basically, and move their car that way if that's the main issue. So we would dictate that. It'd be an ongoing relationship with them or the successful contractor, and I think our contract would look to speak to have some of that language in there around variability of hours worked. But like I said, there would be certainly some evening work and things like that, and they're open to that. And they have staff and the resources to do it.
Other questions? They talked about bylaw enforcement on the trail, and I guess I wondered, is there much to do on the trail, or is there some issues there? Like, I know we've heard about garbage problems, but basically you have to see it happening before anything could really be enforced there. What was your idea on that, Dan?
Yeah, and I think, again, I'll just slightly rephrase that. I don't think they talked about bylaw enforcement on the trail, and if I word it that way, I apologize in my report. But they talked about, being seen and being visible in the community, and one of the aspects of doing that was doing that by biking the trail or by being on foot in the downtown business core. And I think that's again why they scored so high, and where we really see the value here is they're speaking towards being seen in the community, being members of the community, not necessarily being out there policing the community that way. And I think that goes a long way to provide the feeling of safety, particularly on the trails, maybe in the dusk hours or something of that effect. But there was some talk of, I'll say, patrolling by foot and on bike, which we thought was great.
Yeah, I guess that's where I read that was biking on the trails, and I where I got the idea from. Anybody else? Any questions for Dan? Nicholas, go ahead.
To your point, Walter, there had been some off-road recreation vehicles that shouldn't have been on the trail that might fit the bill. But I tend to support option number 2 at 15 hours a week. I like the community-based aspect of this enforcement.
Okay, good. Would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I would.
All right, I'll read the motion, and you have moved it. that the motion is that council authorizes the clerk to negotiate a 3-year agreement with Tenant Security Group to provide a bylaw enforcement services for the municipality of West Perth and report back to council. So moved by Nicholas. Do we have a person to second that? Did you have your hand up, Mike? I couldn't tell, or you're just having a stretch there.
My wife was leaving again. She waved at me.
Oh, do you want to second that motion?
Sure.
All right, it's like an auction sale here. You don't want to move too much. Okay, so moved by Nicholas and seconded by Mike Tam, that we approve that motion. Last call. Any further questions? Okay, all those in favor of that motion? That is carried. Good, thank you. The next item then is the 2022 council meeting schedule, and it is there for your information. Any questions on the schedule? Mike?
Just a comment. I think we should put one more in the summer. Whether we space those out or throw one more in there, I'm pretty sure most of us know that we'll likely need it at some point.
Yeah, last year, I think this year anyways, for sure, we've gone with three and 2 months, and we just spaced them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Other comments? Dean?
Your worship, I would concur with Councillor Tam's comment of adding a second meeting at an appropriate time in the July, August, summer months.
So do you have a suggestion there, Dan? Do we move the July meeting up 1 week to the 11th, and then another one? Well, 1st of August is a holiday. What do you suggest, Dan?
I think we would just follow our first and third pattern if that fits for everyone. So we would add the 4th.
Jeff has a comment here.
So what we've done and what we've done the last few years is that we have 9 weeks in the summer, and we've done one every 3 weeks in the summer and spread them out. So I don't have the schedule in front of me, but we can I can pull it back up again. So just taking a look at that and looking at the agenda, I think once you get your June 20th, you would go July 11th, then August the 2nd, and August the 22nd.
And I guess
that would give you 3 weeks between the meetings.
Yep, I would maybe concur with that. And if we find that there's not an awful lot for a meeting, we can always cancel one if we have to, and we can always add one too, but we might as well, when we're dealing with the schedule, we might as well put it in there. The other discussion that we had, I guess, was that the last meeting of the month, the December meeting, and we've got 2 meetings in there, and Dan had wondered about one, but we thought we better leave 2, and we can cancel one if we have to, but sometimes the December meeting with year-end wrap-up and that tends to have quite a bit on it.
Especially if sorry, Walter.
No, go ahead.
Especially since that would be the very beginning of the next council term, that it could be useful to have multiple meetings in there, since it could be a new council.
Right. Okay. All right. So the motion, we'll just change that for the July and August, it would be the look here, the 11th, the 2nd, and the 22nd, I believe, would be the dates there. So we'll make that note. So it would be that we approve the 22 council meeting schedule with that amendment made, or change made. So we need a move and seconder for that, I guess, too. Councillor Tankowski and Councillor Tam. Any further comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of that motion? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Okay, good. All right. Who has a question? Oh, Dan. Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, there he does. I see his hand now. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. Sorry, just before my part was done, I just wanted to wish council a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year if I didn't get the chance again. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And same to you. All right, moving on. We have some correspondence here. First item of correspondence is the Sabo Bayfield Authority Transition Plan. Mike, are you wanting to talk about this one?
It's all there in front of you. It's pretty exciting stuff. It's just, you have to do an inventory of your programs and services and all the agreements and that sort of thing. We got into that at our last meeting. So some of it's a little bit interesting seeing the cost sharing agreements and how everything works. But it's just a requirement of the Conservation Authority Act update, and it's doesn't affect the budget until January 1st, 2024 is when it has to be fully implemented. So right now it's just a lot of information.
Good. Any questions on that at this time? Okay, the next piece of correspondence is from Avco Holdings and a letter with regards to the development fees, and the letter is there. You've had it for the weekend to read over. Comments, suggestions, anything? Maybe Mike, go ahead.
Maybe Jeff or someone can refresh our memory, just how many steps, how many increases there's been in this time, or what those numbers might be.
Yep, I'm Jeff's, I think is looking it up. Are you, Jeff?
Or Bob, if he's still there.
Between Bob and I, and I'm not sure if I'm able to share my screen. I could share my screen if you were wanting to see the development charges schedule. Labita, is it enabled? Okay, I'll try. Yes, it looks like it's enabled. So this is a copy of what's on Bob's wall for administering the development charges. So I would just draw your attention to, I'll blow it up a little bit so it's a little more visible. I would just draw your attention to September 29, 2019 to September of 2020. The multiple unit and townhouse, or sorry, the apartment rate was 3,669. And then from 2020 until December 31st, so there was a slight little step increase here to 4236, and then for the year of 2021 it was 4545. So those are your increases of the apartment rates, and at the beginning of next year it'll go to 5302. I just want to mention that this stepped increase of rates came directly out of our development charges report. The concept of development charges, that development pays for development. You can see from the beginning to the end, there was a fair step increase in development charges, and the consultant recommended to council when we approved the bylaw in September of 2019 that we could phase it in, although any delay in collecting money is essentially a loss to the municipality, and it does have an impact on the bottom line. It just spreads out the increase over time.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for comments or direction here on this. There's a couple different ways we can go. Deputy Mayor Ait?
Well, I know we passed this back in, we as a council, we passed this because we thought it was a great idea back in 2019. If somebody can correct me, I'm not.
I think you're right, Doug.
2018 maybe, but
2019.
And I'm not afraid to say that as a council, we thought it was a great idea. It wasn't really us that pushed it back 2 years. If you needed a motion to do it at the time we approved it, I would. I don't know if that's possible. I'm not sure.
Nicholas?
Yeah, doesn't the letter say that he'd be making payment before the end of the year? So isn't that before the increase anyway?
That is what he suggested, that he could make the payment the end of December. And so that would be paid, so he wouldn't be facing the 2022 increase. Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to clarify the way I read the letter, though. He's requesting that council provide him the benefit of the 2019 rates, and we can provide comments on what the consequences of doing that are, and I'm happy to elaborate if council wants to consider that in their deliberation.
So Anna Marie, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to hear that, please, from Jeff, if possible.
Sure. You know, I guess I would break it down in a few points. I think, first of all, that we certainly understand that there have been delays, and the delays are not delays that have been caused by the municipality. There's been a number of reports for council on the changes in legislation and the reason that this application got reviewed, but council approved the zoning bylaw, I believe it was in 2018, and it's obviously been in litigation since then. I would mention that our costs to provide services and ensure that development pays for development are also escalating at the same time that they are for the developer. Again, I want to really emphasize that development charges are to ensure that new development pays for new development, and you're not leaning on your current taxpayers to subsidize service costs that are new development oriented. And that's why the fees were set at the level that they were at. Those councillors that can recall the presentation that we received from the Stratford Home Builders on behalf of developers, they were concerned about our development charges going up, but they also acknowledged that our development charges were the lowest in the region, and they continue to be the lowest in the region. I would say to council that the phasing of development charges is already a concession for a municipality. It's an acknowledgement that we can base it on the number that is the ultimate number, but by phasing it over 4 years, we are making concessions. And this consideration of turning the clock backwards and providing a reduction at this time is an additional concession. In fact, my biggest concern is that it does create a dangerous precedent. And you often hear me say to council that precedents aren't always something to be afraid of. There are often very unique circumstances that lead to the decisions of council, but I can assure you that we would probably be hearing from other developers wanting to do rows or apartment buildings if this magnitude of concession were made, where we're again essentially turning the clock backwards. One of the ways that the developer can manage their risk is to pay by the end of the year so that they don't fall into the next increase, and we'll certainly work with them on that. But going back to 2019 or 2020 rates for any fee that the municipality charges, I believe is quite an extraordinary measure.
Okay, that in a nutshell is a verbal report. And that's probably as good as we can get. Like, the one option that we could have asked is that we ask staff to come back at our next meeting with a report, but that's not going to help the ratepayer out in this particular situation. So you got a verbal report with that information. We just have to decide what you want to do here. Dean? You're muted, Dean. You're muted.
There we go.
Ahead.
I double clicked. Thank you, through your worship. I listening to the CAO's comments. I understand it's extraordinary, but this has been not been an ordinary situation. And to Deputy Mayor Eit's comments, I would support what he said, that it's a local developer and it's a local it's for local residents. It's a badly needed development, and anything we can do to help help this development along. Well, any risk that we encounter, we'll get that back 100-fold in the benefits, the long-term benefits that it would provide. So I would support, lend my support to the developer's request.
Okay. Other comments? All right. No further. Yep, that's my next thing here is to get a motion, put it on the floor, and we'll vote on it. So the motion would be that we will support the Avco Holdings request in the correspondence that we received. So I'll mover and seconder for that, which means going back to 2019 rates for development charges. So it's moved by Deputy Mayor Wright, seconded by Councillor Trankowski. Okay.
Could we have a look at that chart one more time from Jeff, just to compare and contrast them once?
Yes, I'll get that up for you if I could just. Is that visible? Okay.
So really what we're looking at is right now, if we were doing it at today's numbers, 2021, it's 4545. That's per unit. So there's 30 some units, I believe 32 is?
42.
42, sorry, 42 units. So you multiply that number by 42. Actually, if you take the difference, so we're talking 42 units. So if you look at 2019 is 3669, and now it's 4545. So you know,
$40,000.
On 42 units.
Yeah, so that's
Be more than that, wouldn't it?
40,000. That's $40,000. Yeah.
Okay, you have it figured out, I take it, Nicholas.
Or if you want the exact number, 36,700.
Okay.
Correct. 36,792.
36,700. That's the amount of the request, really, you might say. So okay, if we could
I will
go
stop
back to
sharing.
the screen again. Okay, so that is the motion, and it's been duly moved and seconded. I guess question is, all those in favor of that motion? So 4, 5. Those opposed is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that motion is carried then. Okay, the next one is Avco Holdings. Actually, can I, yeah. Can I just go back? I want to have that again because it's a tied vote here, I believe. Was it not? How many voted in favor of that? Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So it's 5-5.
Are you voting against it, Walter? It's 5-3 on my calculation, but
It would be, no, we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
with
5.
9 counselors.
So we only have
6,
9
7,
at
8,
council
9.
tonight. So we only have 9 at council tonight. So the 5 that voted on the screen are enough to carry.
Okay, all right.
We're
Just
missing
so we're
Councillor
clear.
Marshall and missing Councillor.
That's right. We're missing 2.
Rose.
Yes, sorry. Okay,
That's
yep,
right.
carry on. Okay. Yeah, afterthought there. Okay, the next item then is Unitech, and they have a letter there as well with regards to lighting on the information booth. And I don't know if anybody wants to speak a little further to that. The letters pretty well speaks for itself. I had to ask some questions because I didn't know what that lighting was, but Jeff or Dan, anything further you want to say about it?
Sure, and Councillor Bell, I know this kind of came up a little bit through the BIA, and I'm not certain if Councillor Bell, if you wanted to frame it up before, I can say it. I mean, the framework to consider here is that the request from Unitech would be that they provide the lighting, and I think that's a very exciting idea to get new lighting on the visitor center. I hope that we can think about lighting that perhaps celebrates a number of seasons by being clever about how we put it up, and the sort of the exchange would be that we would put a note on the sign, the municipal sign, and of course we plan to get that town sign back up and running again, which is right there, which indicates that that light display is sponsored by Unitech. If council would like to go, there is kind of a benefit to Unitech. We haven't put a request for proposals out, although perhaps this is the only lighting company that we have, so it's an unsolicited proposal. It's certainly within council's authority to approve that unsolicited proposal. We can approve it tonight, and we can see if they want to put it up this week. It sounds like they would, although I don't know, that seems like a quick schedule, or we could do some research on it and bring it back to have it done for next year. And staff are prepared to take a recommendation for whoever council would like to proceed.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Questions? No questions? Deputy Mayor.
It does look, I posted, we went around town looking at lights, and you can definitely on Saturday night, because I had nothing to do. You can definitely tell those lights on the houses and how nice they look. And I would be in favor of letting, if Marcel can, Unitech Electric, put them on. If somebody else, another lighting company wants to come forward, possibly they could do something on the new town hall if they so choose or something. But I think Marcel approached me and I got him, Dr. Sherry, probably in September or maybe early October. So I'm all in favor of people want to make this town look beautiful.
Yeah, he approached the BIA probably mid-October, and then we directed him to make his proposal, and I think just life got busy. So then I directed him, when he reached out again a couple of weeks ago, right, Jeff? I directed him to Jeff, and we sort of worked him through this proposal, and it seems like it's coming fast, but actually it's been quite a little bit of time in the works for Unitech to get a proposal set. But I would second Deputy Mayor Wright's motion. I think we should work as much as we can with our community partners.
Okay, so the recommendation is here that Municipality of West Perth accepts the letter from Unitech Electric and Utility Services as information, and that council directs Recreation and Facility Manager to coordinate the details of the installation. It says here to report back to council, but I think the idea is if we can get her done, we'll get her done. So Deputy Mayor Wright has moved that. Councillor Bell has seconded that. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of that motion? That opposed, if any of that is carried. Okay, good. All right, moving on then, we have the BIA minutes from November the 3rd. Sherry, I guess that's your committee.
Yeah, they're pretty self-explanatory. I do want to point that in the bottom of the minutes where we had some new business, we had a brief discussion about speakers, music speakers. So that might just go hand in hand with Unitech's proposal of trying to jazz up our BIA downtown area. So I think we're going to, in the new year, explore some speakers on the main street that will play seasonal music. They do it in Seaforth and it's lovely. It really does make a really nice addition. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with Unitech as well. So we'll see in the new year how we make out.
Right. Okay, good. Any questions for Sherry on the BIA? All right. The next is the agenda. It was for Sabo Bayfield, I guess, on the 16th of December. Anything there, Mike, you want to report on at this time?
No, there was just a little bit more information about that, the work plan, that transition plan.
Right, okay.
And there was a Christmas gathering after for those that went. I didn't go, I just did it by Zoom, so.
Right, okay,
That's about all.
all right. The next item is the Heritage and Culture Committee, and I think Doug, you said that you were at that one, so.
Yes, this was my first meeting that we were at there, and we talked about the Pizza Hut sign. The committee, there's two people on the committee, and the committee, Jeff, help me out here. The committee would like to, there's a resolution in here. Do you have any, the committee would like to tell Pizza Hut to go back and change their colors.
So I'll help you.
Need to talk Jeff into this because
Yeah, yeah, I shouldn't leave you with this. It's kind of a big job. But first of all, the first set of minutes is the minutes from a previous meeting, which was April. And then I should mention on behalf of the committee before Deputy Mayor Ike became chair, the committee actually had a working meeting, I believe it was September or October, where we got together and really just kind of rolled up our sleeves and did some brainstorming on the Lost Villages program. And then this meeting came up, which was needed to be called to deal with a sign request. And the reason the committee is entertaining or being asked for their input is because the facade of the Hicks House is identified in the official plan. I'm going to look for CBO Bob McLean if there's any more questions on that. But as you've seen from the minutes, CBO McLean provided a report and some suggestions. The committee reviewed the report provided by Bob McLean and had a discussion about what they liked about the proposed signage and what they would encourage some modifications to. And the committee passed the resolution that's in the minutes. So I'll turn that over to Bob in case there's any. So the committee eventually arrived at the resolution that's enclosed in the minutes, which would essentially be the committee saying to council, you should ask for some modifications. And Bob, I'll turn it over to you to take it from there.
Thank you. The color scheme, the palette scheme for the front of the Hicks House is being asked for modifications to incorporate the Pizza Hut national signage. The Hicks House has, with its heritage designation, has very specific color palette and signage requirements. And we reached out to a heritage, or we had the signage application reach out to a heritage consultant for comments, and that those comments were brought forward to our heritage committee for recommendations, and we are here today.
Jeff, can you put the sign up? I know this was a meeting that was an hour long, and we looked at B&B Pets, which is a blue sign and but the Heritage Committee wasn't in existence, I don't think, when the B&B Pet sign up. We went through, and the Heritage Committee said what we just didn't. We can't go back and ask B&B Pets or Office Pro to change their sign to make it look heritage. So I'm going to try to give you as much as I got out of that hour. And I don't know if Jeff can.
Yeah, I'm working on it, Deputy Mayor.
What they're looking for is the black to become brown, I believe, because it just says Pizza Hut, 1-800. I think it's Pizza Hut numbers. And on the other side of the door, it just says Pizza Hut.
Yeah, so just give me a moment and I'll get that up for you, Deputy Mayor Ite. Yeah, no, it didn't work. Okay, here we go. My apologies. You caught me off guard. Here we go.
Try to make your keep.
I'll share it. Just a moment. I'm just getting to the right page and then I'll share my screen.
You're good. Okay. We can see it, Jeff.
Oh, you're already.
Can everybody see that, or is it just me that can see The
Oh, we
Pizza
can s-
Hut above the door. Everybody
Oh.
can see it.
We can see
Labitz is sharing it. She's bailed me out. She's the one.
Can we make it bigger? Can we zoom in a little bit or not?
There you go. So there's what they're showing that it would look like. And the committee resolution is encouraging that they take a look at whether or not they could be more sensitive with their choice of font, which Bob has made the reference. It's a national brand. It's part of their brand, the font that they use, and also the colors. But we felt that we would try to ask them, the committee encouraged that we should ask them to try to be a little more sensitive with their color choice and their font choice, and see if they could do it to make it more in keeping with the heritage building. And I will mention, just as Labitz is rolling past that sign that sort of heads out in Labitz, if you can go down just a tad there. That's not, well, right there. That sign that would protrude out, they've removed that from the proposal, and actually some post-meeting research work that came back from Jesse Breton, who's now the chair of the committee, found that approach is actually more in keeping with the period than the flat sign in the wall. So that occurred after the meeting, but Chief Building Official McLean can certainly share that thought with them as well.
Yes, that overhanging sign doesn't meet our current bylaw for signage. That would be another wrinkle into this permit application. They would have to go through a sign variance.
But they withdrew that, right, Bob?
They withdrew it.
Yes, they did. They've decided to go with a sidewalk sandwich board instead.
So I'll just to kind of put a wrap on this then, Bob McLean, just asking for you, if you're asking council's just to receive these minutes. It's the input from the Heritage Committee. You would use that information, Bob, to consult with Pizza Hut on finalizing their sign. Do you need any approval from council tonight?
I think if council endorses the Heritage Committee's recommendations, we can move forward with approaching the corporate powers to be for their choices.
So council's ability to endorse that recommendation can either be done as a bylaw at the end, or you could specifically pull that recommendation and support it if a councillor wanted to move that.
Okay. Do we have somebody willing to move that? What you want to do here? Accept the minutes? Anna Marie?
Mhm.
And seconder for that? Looking for a seconder yet?
Could you clarify, Walter, what we're doing? Just are you saying we're accepting the minutes of the Heritage and Culture Committee meeting?
Which in there has the recommendation for or their comments for the restaurant sign. So
I'll move that. Second it. Sorry.
okay. So it's moved by Anna Marie and seconded by Nicholas. Further discussion on that? So basically what we're doing is accepting the recommendation or the suggestion from the Heritage Committee. Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, all those in favor of that recommendation then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, the only other thing I have is that recommendation that council municipality accepts reports from councilors as presented. So we just had the above mentioned ones there. So we have a mover and seconder that we accept all reports from councilors as presented. Moved by Councillor Matheson, seconded by Councillor Bell. All those in favor? That's carried. Now, we do have a number of bylaws. We do have, let me just see the final total here. Yeah, 12 bylaws. And, oh, yes, we'll split them. We'll deal with 9-12 first. How is that? Because Dean had a conflict on that one. So we'll deal with 9-12 first, and then, or we can deal with all down to 9-11. That might be the better way to do it. We'll deal with them all except 9-12. How is that? And do those ones first, second, and third reading, and then we'll deal with bylaw 102, which is the 12th one, which is the one that Dean had declared a conflict on. So the bylaws from what do we got here?
Dan, you have to speak up. Dan has his hand up, Walter.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
You're not in the same room, I guess. He can't yell at you.
No, Dan, go ahead.
I was just going to point out to go to 100 because I don't think council wanted to pass 101 today. That was the amending bylaw for the committees. So if we do 92 to 100, and then we can excuse Councillor Trentowski to do 102.
Okay, but we still need to do. Okay, yep, number. No, we want to deal with bylaw 100, do we not? That's the concession, lot 28, concession 7, Fullerton.
Yeah, but not bylaw 101.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, that's bylaw number 100. Okay, so we're going to do 100. Down to, we're not going to do 101, right? Yeah, we're doing 101. Bylaw to appoint members of various boards and committees. No, we're not going to do that one tonight. Okay, so 100 to we're gonna 9.1 on our agenda here. From 9.1 to
let me screen share for you.
910. That gets them. So the first 10 bylaws are what we want to deal with here. Okay. So I can go through them if you want. The first one is the Fanson bylaw. The second one is collection of costs on the Gardner municipal drain. The second one, or the next one, is the Scott municipal drain. And the next one is also the Scott municipal drain. Bylaw 95 is the McDonald municipal drain. And then bylaw 96 is the Dillon municipal drain. 97 is also the McMillan municipal drain. 98 is the Melville municipal drain. 99 is the fee and charges bylaw. And 100 is the mobility, Mitchell mobility bus agreement. And that's as far as we want to go. So we'll deal with those ones at this time. So 3 readings for mover and seconder for 3 readings on those bylaws that I mentioned. Councillor Matheson and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Wright. Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? That is carried. Okay. And we're not going to do bylaw 101. That's the committees and boards. We're bringing that one back in January. And then bylaw 102 is the one that Dean is declaring a conflict on. And 102 is to amend bylaw 56 to provide for collection of actual costs on the Wasman drain. So we need a mover and seconder on that particular bylaw as well. So moved by Councillor Harold, seconded by Councillor Matheson. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. Okay. So that has got that one. Announcements. Basically, they're listed there for you. December the 4th, the office closes until the new year. Next meeting will be January the 10th, and then we have the special one on January the 17th. And January 24th is community grants and assessment information. I know Dan and Wendy have been working on that for grant requests. Any notices of motion? None that I'm aware of. Other business. I do have one item that actually we have a couple, I guess, but one item is we have discovered, and I guess we knew that it was there, but we have a time capsule in our vault in the town hall. And the instructions on the time capsule were that it is to be opened on December the 31st of 2021. And it is a time capsule that came from the municipality of the township of Hibbert from their sesquicentennial in 1996, I guess it was. That would be the 25 years. The comment that I have, I think it was probably designed that it would maybe be opened at a New Year's Eve party or something at that time. My suggestion, and I talked to one of the people that was on that committee, and they thought that it was probably as good as any. But I'm open for suggestions. But the first thing is I don't think we bother opening at this time, and we maybe need a motion to kick it down the road that it be opened at a future date. And a future date might possibly be when we have the administration building ready to open up or whatever to be opened at that time. It's just with the way things are with COVID and things shutting down. I think it would be nice to, to honor the wishes of the Sesquicentennial Committee at that time. But let's do it when some people can be involved in it. Looking for comments here. Nicholas, you're one of our Hibbert reps. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be just fine. I think because the only other option would be stream it live on YouTube and everybody can see it there. But at the town hall opening ceremonies, that would be just fine.
Sure. Okay. Sherry, you have any comments? You're another Hibbert rep here. Okay. So we probably should do it by motion because it was directed that it be opened at that time. So I think a motion that the official opening of the time capsule be deferred until a future date when we have an opening at the administration building, or just say at a future date because of COVID situations and that. Somebody want to move something here? Sherry? The wording that we just defer opening it at this time until a future date. Does that sound acceptable to everybody? Jeff, is that we don't put a date in there, just a future date?
I would say just say future date.
Future date.
Just in case.
Yeah, well, we don't know. So, okay, so Sherry, you're going to move that. Nicholas, do you want to second that? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor? That is carried. Good. Okay. The only other thing that I have here is traditionally at this time of year, at the last meeting of the year, we go around the table. This time it's going to be go around the screen. And for any last minute comments that anybody would have with regards to the past year on council. So I'm going to start in my top left-hand corner and go clockwise. And on my corner, the top person is Councillor Harold.
Thank you. I haven't really got a whole lot prepared for this, but I would say that we've got a few new faces on our municipal team, and I think we should be very proud of the people that we have working with us, and the selection committee has done a fabulous job. We've replaced some great workers with some equally talented staff, and I'd like to thank them and for everything they've done in their first year, and look forward to what they can do for us in the future. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Nicholas?
Thanks, Walter. I'm also quite proud of what we've accomplished in 2021 with only 11 months left in our council term. I'm proud to be on council with all of you guys, and I'll also wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. You get my colleagues on council and staff and everyone else watching in West Perth. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Nicholas. Good. Mike?
Yeah, I think 2021's been a great year. We've had a lot of changes, and I think we have things going in the right direction. We have some great staff now, and we've accomplished some good projects. We almost needed 13 months in the year to get the arena done and the street and everything, but it's been I think it's been a good year, and we've accomplished a lot. So look forward to working with everyone for the next the remainder of the term.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Deputy Mayor Wright?
I was at my best picture when I shut my screen off. Well, it has been a trying year, and I sure do miss having some cookies after the meeting. And it's been 2 years of this now, sitting here. But we do, like I said, we still have a proud town, proud people who live in West Perth. I said that went around Christmas light looking at on Saturday night, which in COVID, that's something you and your wife can do. You know, nobody else in the car, got a hot chocolate at Tim Hortons. It's actually been a challenging year, but it's been fun putting through all this stuff personally and as council. We've got a lot accomplished in our COVID. We got a new fire hall. We're going to have a new town hall. We've done all our projects, and we've got a good spot that we live here in. No doubt about it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Councillor Matheson?
Yeah, I'd just like to commend our staff and how actually council will work together to achieve a lot in 2021 and throughout this term. So I'm looking forward to the next the rest of this year into our last year of our term of council to see what else good ideas we can come up with and continue to grow this community. And just want to wish everybody on council and staff, and as Nicholas said, anybody that's watching, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Cheryl. We go from Cheryl to Sherry.
Well, there's not much more to say to top anything, excuse me, that anyone else has said. So I'll just say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I'm really looking forward to continuing our forward motion that we're doing as a council into 2022.
Good. Okay, thanks, Sherry. Dean?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess I have to say that I'm thankful to make it this far in 2021. The reason I say that is I came very close to being killed in a car accident, as some of you on staff and council are aware. A heartfelt thank you to those on staff and council that helped me through that traumatic event. And I want to thank everyone on staff and council in the community for their collaboration and support in these trying times. And I'll repeat what I mentioned at last year's end of year comments, is that we need everybody in our community together to go forward. And I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Dean. Anna Marie.
Yes, I'm very proud of what council and our fabulous staff have accomplished this year. And I look forward to next year. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Very good. Thanks, Anna Marie. So I think we'll carry on and we'll go around the staff that I have on here as well. So first one I have is Dan.
Thank you, Council. I would just wish everyone a Merry Christmas again, and my family and I, being new to the community, we certainly love it here and feel right at home. So thank you.
All right, Jeff. I'm taking them in the order they're on the screen, not in any particular order. So
Thanks. I just want to say that I'm really proud of staff and really pleased to work with council and that we've managed to push through despite COVID. I'm really pleased that our organization hasn't been defined by COVID. I think that staff have really worked hard to manage all the change in policy with COVID and also do some major projects this last couple of years. You'll hear from the staff that are on the call, but I'll just mention that I'm certain that the same sort of appreciation of council would come from Mike Kramer and Rosemary Manella from the library, and also Bob McLean, who's had to go tonight. But I think we really appreciate that staff has, council has supported staff actions, and we've really tried to work really hard to not get taken, pulled down by COVID, but rather really reach back and keep on our agenda to do capital renewal and provide services to the community. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
okay, thanks, Jeff. Wendy.
Thank you. I just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege to come to West Perth in the last 6 months. I've really enjoyed being here and wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Wendy. 6 months has gone fast, hasn't it? Darcy.
Thank you, Mayor McKenzie. And yes, I would just like to echo what Jeff said about council. We are very happy to support of council, especially in the Recreation Facilities Department. With a COVID-filled 2021, unfortunately, to have council support and backing throughout the whole process of getting the arena back up and running and keeping it running, as well as renewing our capital projects, was definitely great. Also like to thank SLT. Our SLT here in West Perth is great. We got a good mix of a lot of experience and some new SLT members, and everybody's supportive and great. And lastly, I'd like to thank my staff, as a good staff makes it easy to be a good manager, and they have been great on the front line. Again, we have a good mix of experience and some new faces, and it's worked really well. And they are the ones on the front line going with the new policies and implementing them. So I thank them for sure. And I just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Darcy. Everybody keeps moving on my screen here now. Susanna, I think you're the next one here.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm honored to be invited to say some words. I've been in West Perth now since the beginning of August, so I feel I'm still getting my feet underneath me. And also from the planning department's perspective, we now have full complement of planners. So we have 4 planners. And we have just engaged an additional planner on contract to be dedicated to work on the official plan. So we're really looking forward to advancing some of the policy projects and advancing the official plan. So like everybody else has said, I'm also incredibly proud and happy to be here, and I really appreciate the leadership both in the staff team and at the council level.
Thank you, Susanna. Bill Hunter.
Thank you very much. First of all, everybody said about the fire station, but I want to say it again because we are thrilled to have the support of council for all of our projects, but especially the new fire station and the new tanker. And it's certainly been appreciated. With the shared services agreement, certainly honored to work as your fire chief, and looking forward to the next 4 years of the agreement. You've got some great officers and tremendous firefighters, and they do make my job a whole lot easier, and I do appreciate that. So once again, thanks a lot. It's been a great year. Looking forward to 2022, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Bill. And the last staff person that I have on here is Labitza, and she's always in the background. You maybe never see her, but she's in the background just making everything work here. So Labitza, there she
Hello.
is.
Hi. I just wanted to briefly say that I'm grateful that I became a part of this West Perth team. I wanted to say thank you to everyone for their support and help in this in my first year, and I look forward to 2022.
Thank you, Labitza. Now,
Thank you.
I'm waiting whether you're going to say Happy Holidays or whether you're going to say Merry Christmas, because we had this discussion.
I would like to say Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, yes. And the joy of, I guess, going at the last is it's pretty well all been said. But when we were discussing about the year-end comments from council and staff, I had Labitza, I said, can you make a list for me of some things that we've accomplished in this past year? And she compiled a list. And I was going to go through it, but you've mentioned a lot of it. But she gave me a list, and honestly, there's 3 pages of accomplishments that we've done in 2021, from road construction on Nelson Street, the connecting link paving on Ontario, certainly the various bridge and structure repairs, the bridge on St. Andrew Street and rural structures out in the country. The municipal office was started. We've got we've been fairly successful on grants throughout this past year too, and I think the biggest one was the Keterson Park, the ICIP grant. We've, as Darcy's mentioned, upgrades to the refrigeration and the electrical, and also the upgrades to the arena in general that we're doing, and what we've got into there. Other things that you maybe don't think of is certainly the opening and carrying on of the youth center. And from what I gather, it's going fairly well there. A lot of building, as you're aware, have gone on, certainly Upper Thames Village, 25 single detached dwellings and 1 quad there. Napier Street, 11 single detached dwellings. Eleanor Street, the 8-row unit that was finally completed there. And we've got, as I mentioned, industry, Hogslat opened up. We've had a lot of development out in the country on dairy barns. And as Bob has indicated, it seems to be carrying on into the new year. One of the bigger expansions that we have certainly is the Ritz Villa and our involvement in that. The Riverside Development, there's 10 serviced lots and 5 on Pond and 5 on St. George, and a number of units there to be finished. And it goes on and on and on. Like certainly we have the development that Mitchell Woods out by where Doug is, and every aspect that we have here. Certainly there's been a lot of stuff happened at the library, and they're doing some renovations or improvement there. And the fire department, Bill has mentioned that. The one thing he didn't mention was the awarding of the dispatch to Owen Sound. And we had a meeting today, and it sounds like that's going to roll over on January the 5th, and it'll probably roll over fairly evenly. So and that's quite a change for us. In the office, there's been a pile of stuff going on there. in the management software, and our safety and well-being plan. The co-op student, Grace, if you haven't met her, she's just been a real trooper in there. She sits in the corner there, and I think she's been doing cemeteries for the longest time. But what a wonderful person to have in the office. Just happy as all get out, and certainly appreciate having her here. And certainly in the CIO department, there's been a number of things going on, and the Heron Business Park, we're hoping that we can get that thing moving. There's lots of interest in the future in that, so we need to go that. And I'm just kind of highlighting some here. There's a number of things here. Certainly, the new staff has worked out really great. Really appreciate the staff that we've got on side now, and things seem to be really going quite well. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. Certainly have appreciated all the support and the cooperation from council, not just this term, but or this year, but throughout this whole term. And in closing, I just want to wish each and every one of you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever. Just the best of the holiday season and a Happy New Year. So we'll just leave it at that. And I've got to find my page here. We do have a closed session. And I just want to mention to Dan again here, this new iPad that you gave me. It's great, but it only keeps the screen up for about a minute and then it goes blank. So I think we're to the point, just checking here, where we want to go into closed session. Am I right, Jeff? We're there. So a motion at 8:59 that we go into closed session, and the reasons, Jeff, you're going to have to help me out because I can't bring it up quick enough here.
I can get them.
It's on
for
the
you,
agenda. I know it is
Yeah.
here.
I'm working on trying to get it. I got to get back to the right page. So
yeah, you're
reason,
like me. I can't. I got to get the right page here.
I have it if you need it. So,
okay. Yeah, you can read it if you want, Nicholas. That'd be great.
Labor relations or employee negotiations, personal matters about an identified individual, administration reorganization, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or local board, advice subject to solicitor-client privilege.
And I finally found it here. Thank you. Okay, so it is 8:59. So a motion that we go into this closed session would be in order. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Vink and Deputy Mayor Wright. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay. Now I got to get my closed session stuff up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, coming out of closed session, we were briefed on some proposed revisions to the administration structure, the West Perth Fire Department compensation, potential land disposition or disposition matter, and litigation matter. The CAO was given direction on how to proceed on the potential land disposition matter and report back to council. Coming out of that, there is 3 resolutions that we need to deal with at this particular time. The first one is that council approve the changes to the clerk's department as recommended by the executive committee. You want 3 motions for this, I believe. Do you, Jeff? Or do you want to do them all in one? We'll do them all together. Okay. So, so there's the first one there that I just mentioned. The second one is that council approve changes to the finance department as recommended by the executive committee, including the addition of an asset management technical analyst position and the accounts payable clerk. And the third one, that council approve changes to the firefighter compensation and that the 2022 firefighter salary grid as recommended by the executive committee. So we've rolled all 3 into one. Do we have a mover and seconder for those recommendations?
I'll move that, Walter.
Moved by Nicholas, thank you. And do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Murray, thank you. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, very good. So I think we have only got 2 things to do here. The one is the confirmatory bylaw, and I believe that's what Councillor Trinkowski declared a conflict on. So bylaw number 103 is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council and corporation municipality of West Perth be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover and seconder for that one. Mike and Sherry, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And finally, the last one that we've been waiting for, and the last one of the year, is that the Council Municipality of West Perth adjourned the council meeting at 9:35. We have a mover and seconder for that. Dean, and a seconder, please. Don't everybody come at once. You want to stay here for New Year's Eve? I don't care. Mike, thank you. Okay. Just before we go, I do want to again wish everybody the best of the holiday season and appreciate this past year's cooperation that we've been able to achieve. So all those in favor of adjourning? That is carried. So we're adjourned. Thank you. Very good.